Hey everyone, it's Hannah, and with Stephen West announcing the 14th WestKnits Mystery Knit Along, I thought it was high time that I make a video talking about mystery knit alongs, what they are, why you should or shouldn't participate, why I likely won't be participating this year, and all of that fun stuff. Things to know before you make this big decision. Before I hop fully into the video, if you would like to follow me on social media, links can all be found in the description box below. Also, I do post a video here every week if you would like to subscribe, and you get a bonus video if you are part of the Biscuit Brew crew over on Patreon. No pressure either way, but thank you for being here nonetheless. So what is an MKAL? MKAL stands for Mystery Knit Along. I don't know when knit alongs first came about, when they first became a thing, but knit along, crochet along, make along, I'm imagining they're for sewing as well. I'm not in the sewing sphere of the internet, but I imagine they're there for sewing as well. These are all quite solitary hobbies, and they're not a team sport, let's be honest. We often sit by ourselves, unless you go to a knit and natter. But I feel like knit along, make alongs create a sense of community, and they are a fantastic way to get to know new people and make new friends. I personally also find knit alongs amazing for motivation. I'm currently hosting a make along for using advent calendars from previous years before I start opening them for 2023. I know we're only in September, but give me a break, it soon rolls around. And I didn't have a whole lot of inspiration to start a project to do it, so I thought, you know what, we're doing a make along, and then I will be motivated. And so far, I'm on day 5 of my advent, so slow and steady, but we're actually doing something with it, whereas it would probably still be in the bag if I didn't do a knit along. So the mystery aspect of the mystery knit along comes from the fact that you don't actually know what you're making until clue 4. Now, you know if you're making a garment, a sock, a shawl, what have you, you know what you're making, you just have no idea what it looks like, and this means you have to put a whole lot of trust in the designer. Very often they're a span of over a few weeks, and you get a clue, 1 or 2 clues every week, and you just work on that little bit, and then you wait for the next clue to come out, and then you work on that little bit, and so on and so forth. Designers don't let you go in completely blind, that would be foolish of them, so you do get yarn recommendations. Kits are often put together either by the designer themselves with the dye that they work with, or other dyers also see what the colour inspiration it is, but obviously the other dyers who haven't worked with the designer have no idea what the pattern looks like, so they put kits together based off of what the dyer suggests. For example, the latest WestKnits MKAL is a gradient of, I believe, 4 skeins, maybe light to dark. I'm not 100% sure, I haven't looked into it too much for this year. The Twist and Turns shawl last year that he did, I partook in. That was 2 dark skeins, 2 light skeins, and a contrast, both of those. Sort of like a standout skein. So that kind of thing. They do often involve a fair few skeins of yarn, so they can get a little bit pricey. But the good news is, because you get a vague idea of the colourways, you can have a shop in your stash. It's the cheapest way to do it. Shopping your stash, I feel like, is the epitome of girl maths, because I don't know if you're on girl maths TikTok. I'm very much on girl maths TikTok. My stash is free because I bought it so long ago. It doesn't count as money anymore because I haven't bought yarn specifically for a project. I've shopped in my stash, which is money saved. So why would you participate in a mystery knit along if you have no idea what you're knitting? I mean, there are many reasons why you would want to participate in a mystery knit along. The big one for me last year is I hardcore get FOMO, fear of missing out. I see all the people making the project and the beautiful thing that comes out at the end, and I think, oh, I should have done that. I should have done that. That would have been, I wish I had done that. And yeah, so that is why I partook last year. But hey, FOMO doesn't guarantee that you're going to like the finished object, does it? No. As I mentioned before, knit-alongs are great for a sense of community. It is amazing to see people come together and all work on the same project and spur each other on. Plus, the other amazing thing is, if you get stuck on an element of the project, you can just go on the MKAL hashtag, see and talk to someone who's also done it. It's good for support, basically. It's good for support because there's lots of people making the same pattern. There's going to be someone who understands what's going on, even if you don't. These knit-alongs can also be amazing if your knitting and crochet mojo has taken a bit of a dip lately. If you have decision paralysis and you look at your stash and you think, oh my goodness, I have so many sweater quantities of yarn, I don't know what to cast on next. They can be very, very helpful just to get you out of that funk. A new clue coming out every single week can be very inspiring and spur you on to complete the clue that you're on. This might mean that you also have a finished object far quicker than you would have done otherwise if you're like me and you get distracted by many, many other projects or just work. If you have the inspiration and push of a clue coming out either once or twice a week, you'll be inspired to finish that first clue before the second one comes out, and so on and so forth. This could mean that you have a finished object at the end of the 4 weeks that would have taken you 8 to 12 weeks otherwise. If you are a relatively new knitter or you're not a very confident knitter, they can seem a little overwhelming and a bit scary because you don't know what techniques you're going to be doing. But actually I see that as quite a good thing, because if a mystery knit along has a lot of different techniques in them and you decide to take the plunge and go for the mystery knit along, you might learn a whole bunch of things that you've avoided in the past, be it brioche or cables, or for me steeking. I've hardcore avoided steeking. There's something about cutting your knitting that just kind of freaks me out a little bit. Also, leaning into the decision paralysis aspect of knitting. Not leaning into, leaning away from, I suppose. It's oddly freeing having someone else tell you exactly what to do and essentially what colour to put where. I mean, you can't fully know what colour to put where because you don't see the pattern. So like I say, there's a lot of trust needed in the designer. But that can also be quite freeing. That can also be quite nice, to put the blame on someone else for a change. So the great thing about mystery knit-alongs is they just take you out of your comfort zone, which is always healthy to do once in a while. Participating in a mystery knit-along is all good, right? No, I said at the beginning of this video that I will not be participating, most likely. Never say never. I most likely will not be participating in this year's mystery knit-along. There are obviously drawbacks to the mystery knit-along. As I have said, they often contain a fair few skeins of yarn, and if you like using and prefer using hand-dyed, indie-dyed yarn, like I do. I mean, I'm slightly biased being an indie dyer myself, but nonetheless. They often contain quite a few skeins, quite a few different colours, and unless the pattern specifically says it uses scraps, you're going to have to be buying quite a few skeins of yarn, and that can get very expensive. And a big issue here is that you might not actually like the finished piece. You might look at the pattern and think, no, that one's not for me. And then if you spent, I don't know, £100, up to £100, over £100 on yarn, you might then resent even more because you feel like that is good yarn wasted, which really sucks. I mean, knitting and crochet is not forever. You can frog anything and reclaim that yarn back. And so it's not wasted yarn, but it can feel like you've wasted time that you could have spent knitting on something else, you know? This was one of the big issues I had with the Twists and Turns MKAL from last year. I had just done Yarndale, so I had a bunch of yarn in stock, so I shopped my own stock and thought this will be a really good show sample. I have knit the Mild Magic shawl, which was actually a mystery knit along, but I knit it after the fact. And I absolutely loved knitting it. It was so much fun. And I knit it in 10 days. And I'm not a quick knitter. I mean, I can knit quickly, but I get distracted quite a lot. But I absolutely loved it and was enthralled by it the whole time. And so I thought, right, if I've knit this shawl in 10 days, then I will definitely be able to keep up with the clues of the mystery knit along. Cue clue 1 of the Twists and Turns MKAL. That took me out. It took me so long to do because you were casting on and casting off stitches, and the effect was actually quite cool. So I was quite excited to see where it was going, but I instantly fell behind with the clues. I mean, it doesn't help that it's in peak advent packing season, but nonetheless. So I didn't cast on clue 2 until I think the whole shawl pattern had come out and I'd seen the finished article. And I realised that actually it was not something that I was going to use, and it wasn't anything that I particularly liked. I told myself that even if I didn't like it, it would still be fine as a show sample. So I kept it on the needles for a really long time, but then I just didn't pick it up. So, you know, a couple of weeks ago, it got frogged. I frogged it. So I've got all these little random balls of yarn that I need to use for something else. But because it was my own hand-dyed yarn, that's fine. It wasn't too bad. But I would have been really annoyed had I either used a really special skein that I had in my stash, or if I'd have bought things new for it. But yeah, last year's mystery knit along is one of the things that has put me off doing this year's mystery knit along. But hey, never say never. If you want to participate in the mystery knit along, if that little spiel that I just had said didn't put you off, because there are some mystery knit alongs that are absolutely stunning and can, the finished object is so good. Plus they can just be really, really fun. So don't let me put you off. I'm just sharing my opinion as well. But there are a few things that you should know if you would like to participate and you want to succeed in it. Something that I think is really, really important is scope out the designer. You need to make sure that you like their previous designs, and like I said, I've knit a couple of Stephen West patterns and I've seen a lot of the patterns he's released, and whilst they are a little bit wacky, I do also quite like them. I wear this so much all winter. It's so warm. I want to make another one. And I also made the Exploration Station, which I think is over there somewhere. I also made the Exploration Station, which I also wore a lot when I first made it, and that was also one of his mystery knit alongs of years past. And so, yeah, I had trust in that. Also, you want to make sure that the patterns are clear and well written. Not necessarily, I mean, yes, you want the MKAL to be clear and well written, but if their previous patterns are clear and well written, then there's a high chance that their mystery knit along will be. Because you don't know what you're making, it needs to be very specific. You know, when you choose the yarn that you want to use, be sure to read through the designer's recommendations. You can base your palette off of palettes that they've put together and shop your stash, because stash yarn is free because you bought it so long ago, if you're anything like me. It's also worth having a look at commercial yarn, which is often cheaper than hand-dyed yarn, because then if you put the work in and you don't necessarily like the finished piece so much, it's not quite such a large expense that you feel like you have wasted as if you would have bought all hand-dyed yarn. Like I say, even if you use hand-dyed yarn, you don't like the finished object, it's not a waste, because you can just frog it like I did. Nothing is forever in regards to knitting and crochet, apart from when you cut your end off before you sew it in. The worst. Something else that can help you succeed is try not to get too discouraged if you find that you fall behind. There's not a prize to whoever completes the pattern first, and there's no punishment if you don't complete the pattern in the time. For example, I've just finished an advent project from last year's advent calendar. I didn't crochet it throughout December. Nothing happened, it's all fine. Nothing's going to happen if you finish it late. I mean, you might see the spoilers, but yeah. You are allowed to cheat. That is a thing you're allowed to do. If you're not sure you're going to like it, wait until the first clue comes out, wait until the first couple of clues come out. Have a looky-loo. See what other people have posted, because people do post it all over Instagram. If you do want to post it on Instagram, by the way, or Ravelry, make sure that the first picture in your carousel post or on your project page is the MKAL thumbnail, because otherwise that will ruin the surprise for everyone else. I think what I did last year, could be wrong, is I did the thumbnail and then I did a picture of the yarn, because sometimes Instagram shows the second post as well, which is very annoying. But yes, that just stops people seeing spoilers before they're ready to see spoilers. But like I was saying, have a look at, see what other people's projects look like. That can help you with colour placement if you want to move things around a little bit. Is there a brioche section you don't really want to do brioche? Switch it out for rib or something. Corrugated rib. Is that corrugated rib? You know, when you do rib of two different colours. It's not the same look, but like mix it up. Make it, do what you want with it. Make it comfortable for you. It's your project at the end of the day. You need to enjoy knitting it. Another reason I frogged there, Twist and Turns MKAL. I was not enjoying knitting on it, so that's on me. And finally, don't forget that just because you cast it on doesn't mean you have to finish it. As I've been saying this whole thing, nothing is forever. You're allowed to frog your projects. You are allowed. That's absolutely fine. It's slightly annoying that all of that time you put into it is then getting frogged. I understand that. But it's better for it to be frogged and you get the yarn back than for it to sit in a project bag for almost a year before you do frog it, you know? But yeah, have you participated in a mystery knit along before? Are you going to be doing this next WestKnits MKAL? Let me know. Leave me a comment down below. What colours have you chosen? I am incredibly nosy. I would like to know. And yeah, If you'd like to see more videos from me, it would be lovely if you were to subscribe, but there's obviously no pressure. I do also have Patreon if you want to become part of the Biscuit Brew crew for a bonus video every single week. And follow me on social media if you want to, no pressure. Also, are there any other designers that you know of and who have done mystery knit-alongs that you have enjoyed? Let me know. I might discover something new, someone new. I feel like I'm a little out the loop of new designers at the moment. And yeah, I want to get back in the loop. So yeah, keep me posted. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope that you have an amazing weekend, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye. My foot is so dead right now. Oh my God.